Hey, this is the second video I made, but there was an issue, so I'm doing this again. As you can tell, as you might tell right now, it's raining. It's raining pretty hard. I'm just sitting here, just waiting for it to calm down, if it will. And because I have nothing to do, I want to make a video. Well, I was talking about the video before that that got corrupted. I was talking about growing up. I was pretty deep into it too, but then my dad called me and then the video stopped and it got disconnected and whatnot. So it's a bit annoying. But yeah, if I could just restart that would be great, Right now, because I'm really out of options on what to do, I just want to talk, want to think, if you don't mind. And specifically, I want to talk about growing up. I'm turning 16 this year, 17 this year, and well, it's a big change. It's a big change, compared to I turned 16 last year. I'm turning 17, and I'm growing up. I'm aging. I'm progressing, if you could call it that. Now, why does that matter? Why am I talking about age? Well, I'm talking about it because it's a sad topic. Even though it is something to look forward to, growing up, it's still sad within itself. It's still an issue. And why is it sad? Well, it's sad because it will end. That's the sad thing. The sad thing is life doesn't last. It doesn't last forever. So, me knowing now that as I age, I will eventually be in my 20s, then in my 25s, and then 30s, 40s, 50s, and then maybe I will die. I might even die now, or tomorrow, or someday. I'm not even guaranteed this life. So when you think about that, it really puts life into perspective. How much life is actually a gift. How beautiful it is. It's sad to think about, but it's the truth. A sad truth. Sorry. So, why am I talking about growing up? Because I'm realizing that even though death is inevitable, time will pass me whether or not I choose to live it or not. Even though I will die, that's a certainty. I can choose how I want to live. That's the beautiful thing. I can choose how I want to exist, because even though it might not last, I can still live meaningfully. I think about it like this. When you eat a meal, like a full course meal, you get full and you become satisfied, and then you don't want to eat no more because you ate what you needed and you're good. You don't need no more. I think that's what life is too. When you live life and you live it to the full, it's like by the end of it, you will be satisfied. You will be at peace with it. You won't be sad or miserable. You just be okay with it because you know that the life that you live is the life that you wanted to live. You're satisfied. But that's the thing. You might not be satisfied. You could have regrets. You could feel like that life is meaningless sometimes. Or that you aren't living it to the best. It's a sad truth, by all means. And yeah, when you think about it, life is short. Life is very short, I think. Because even though you live for a while, it's not long enough. I don't know if that's greedy, but I know that my body will eventually deteriorate, die off. I know that I will cease to exist, and it's scary to think about, but again, I can still live it meaningfully. I'm sorry about the rain, by the way. I'm sorry for looking at myself. It's pretty hard to look into the camera. But yeah, it's just scary. But that's life. That's what makes life good, though. I think, yeah, definitely. It's what makes life meaningful. So, yeah. How did I even get to this? Well, I got to thinking about growing up while I was thinking about love. What is love? Long story short, I think love is selflessness. It's not exclusively selflessness, but I think the best, most truest form of love has something to do with being selfless. Doing something doing something difficult, that is hard, that is displeasurable, because you know that thing is worth it. That, I think, is a really good idea of love. And when you think about growing up, I think the question or the correlation between them is whether or not you love yourself. I think that's very important. Whether or not you love yourself, because if you can't love yourself, you can't love others. And if you can't love others, then how are you supposed to love your own life? Because you don't love yourself. So it's very meaningful. Very much so. And I'm scared because I feel like I'm not loving myself. I feel like I'm not living selflessly for myself. I feel like a lot of what I do for me is surface level. It's not really meaningful. It's just the easiest option. And even though in the moment when you're doing it, it's difficult, it's displeasurable, it's not nice, but at the end is what matters, because at the end you feel good, at the end you feel meaningful, at the end you have respect. That never happens when you do things that are pleasurable but meaningless. I'll give you an example. I watch YouTube quite a bit. I haven't watched it in a while because I'm sacrificing it for Lent. But when I do watch YouTube and I prioritize it over things that are important, I always end up feeling unhappy. I always end up feeling like I want more. I always feel disappointed. I never feel happy. Maybe in the moment, maybe during it, but afterwards it's the worst feeling you could ever have. Because you chose to do something that you know is bad for you, but couldn't fight it back because you're not worth it. Like the definition I gave earlier. Love, selfless love, is when you do something difficult, displeasurable, because it's worth it. And when you give in to negative habits, you're practically proving to yourself that you're not worth it. Now that's not 100%. Obviously addictions are very difficult to manage. Very difficult. And there are also other factors that contribute to living unhappily. But it does say something. It does say something. And it says that at least at this moment that you are giving in, you are saying to yourself, I'm not strong enough, I can't do it for you. It's a bit of a generalization, but it says something. It says that even though we live short lives, we live a good percentage of it being too scared to show your own love for yourself, to live meaningfully. So yeah, it's sad. It's sad that most of our lives consist of existing for pleasure. And pleasure's not bad. It's not bad, but it's when you prioritize it over your own well-being is when it becomes an issue. Is when it becomes damaging, self-destructive. I'm sorry if I'm sounding like if I'm speaking too slow. Because of the rain, it's very difficult. I don't want to mumble, so I just want to speak very clearly when I talk about this. Love is meaningful because it is selfless. Otherwise, and selflessness within itself is meaningful because it shows your humanity, I think. When we look at animals, most times an animal does something because it's either easiest or is better for the animal. When we think of evolution, survival of the fittest. When we look at animals, we don't necessarily think they're inferior to us, but they're not on the same level. In the sense that they're not cognitively advanced, if that makes sense. And as humans, we are also animals, but the primary distinction between what separates us from, say, a cockroach or some sort of bacteria is that we don't do what's easiest, what's most beneficial. We do things that actually hurt us because it helps either someone else or something else. That's what separates us people from animals. That we choose to love even if it's at our own disadvantage. That goes against evolution. That goes against survival of the fittest in the sense that it goes against animal behavior. Because animal behavior wants you to live for yourself. But we are not animals in some sense. In the sense that we are willing to love others. So yeah, that's basically my video. I like making these videos because they're reflective. They're informational for myself and maybe for some other people. And they improve my public speaking, so